She's giving you one through the glass.
All right.
Okay. Let's go there, girlie. You gotta walk up those stairs.
I can have some next.
Okay, we tried.
Hello, how are you? I need to speak with someone about a birth certificate that was done fraudulently.
It was a birth certificate done fraudulently?
Yeah, I had, it was a fraudulent adoption. I spoke with David Davis, I believe. Is he still here?
Who?
David Davis.
No, he's not here anymore. How long has it been? It must have been long because he just left our department.
He went to a different department?
I have our new manager here. How long ago was it?
This was a while ago, but since then I've got more evidence. Can I speak with your new manager?
Yes. It was on your behalf? Or?
Well, it was I had thought I adopted my daughter, but what happened is the attorney that did it changed her name through Supreme Court, just did a name change. And then what he did from there is he had to sign an acknowledgement of paternity when she was 7 as part of the adoption process. Mm-hmm. He forged another attorney's name to that. Yeah, and then he had his paralegal witness it and sign a fictitious name. And he brought it here, and he got a birth certificate approved. The problem is now the Social Security Administration has her last name is her old birth certificate, and her birth certificate says my last name. And I was told to report it here, and I was told to report it to the family court and adoption, and I've reported everywhere because this man's an attorney. People are kind of ignoring it, but the problem is the federal government told me to come and report it. So I need to speak with someone.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Hold on for just one moment.
Thank you so much. Thank you. How are you?
How are you doing?
I've been better. I spoke with Mr. David Davis on this before. I guess he's no longer with you guys, or
He's no longer with us.
does he still work for the county or the
No, he's no
state?
longer with the county. So I'm the new vital records manager.
Okay. What we have here is what happened is this attorney did a fraudulent adoption. He changed my daughter's name through Supreme Court. Let me see if this is going. Wrong envelope, sorry. He changed her name through the Supreme Court. There's all the evidence there. And he then as part of the adoption process, he did an acknowledgement of paternity.
That's odd. Yeah.
Yeah, well, right. So he changed her name legally to Orbino, which is my last name.
Mm-hmm.
She had a biological father on record through the courts that he was involved in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then from there, what he did is he took the acknowledgement of paternity that he signed, and I even questioned, there's evidence in here, there's a text message saying, how it says I'm the biological father, and I'm not. He said, don't worry about it, it's part of the adoption process. I trusted the attorney, and I did. Mm-hmm. So from there, he took the court order to change her name. He took the acknowledgement of paternity he had to sign when she was 7 in 2018, mm-hmm. and he put those together and he brought them here, and he had got a birth certificate. Mm-hmm. With that birth certificate, when I reported to the Social Security Administration to change it, they never got it for some reason. Okay. Fast forward 2022, going through a divorce in custody, my now ex-wife reported it to the Social Security Administration as fraudulent. I had no idea it was fraudulent. They contacted me. I gave them the same evidence, and they advised that I report it to Vital Statistics. I report it on a local level because it's done fraudulently. The Social Security Administration does not recognize that birth certificate because it was reported as fraudulent. So, that being said, I have here overwhelming evidence where he changed her name. Here's where he changed her name legally through the courts. Here's petitions where he tried to change her name through family court at the same exact time. Here is a copy of her birth certificate, her first one. There's a copy of the original one.
Okay.
And there's text messages in here showing that I questioned it. There's his paralegal's name is Wendy Baker. On the acknowledgement of paternity, she signs Karen Smith, and he signed another attorney's name, Joseph Rachetti, which is his ex-law firm partner.
Okay.
So that being said, I've got 2 birth certificates, or the one that's on file with you guys now. I stopped down here a while ago and I spoke with Mr. Davis, and the original one isn't on file anymore, obviously.
Correct.
So, that being said, here's text messages where, when we were going through the adoption process, where he said he spoke with the biological father, and the biological father even said, no, there was a paternity test. And he said, I'm not going to argue with him. And I said, okay, here, basically just let me know because I'm, giving this man $5,000 for an adoption.
Right.
And then also here, I questioned him about me signing the acknowledgement of paternity because it says biological. You see where in this text message where I state that. And then I found out there was a DNA test on file with the biological father that he was also involved in, he was aware of.
Okay.
So it's fraud on top of fraud on top of fraud. And right now my daughter has a social security number with one last name and a birth certificate with another last name. It's a very big problem.
Yes, definitely.
I need someone to do something about this. So is there somebody I could sit down with, maybe in the legal department, or?
I can reach out to them.
If
Can I
you
see that birth certificate real quick?
sure.
And the acknowledgement.
And the what? I'm sorry.
Acknowledgement, please. Yes, we're in a tricky spot here because while we provide, we provide like blank acknowledgements of paternity, we accept them here, we provide new birth certificates. The process of adding a parent to a birth certificate using acknowledgement of paternity is handled by the New York State Department of Health in Albany. They are not publicly available or open to the public.
Correct.
So I'm going to try to see what we can do here and how much this.
Somehow I was added to it.
Yeah, and they, we send things in. They only really communicate by mail.
Right. Well, I've sent stuff into them as well. To my knowledge, it's being looked into on a bunch of different levels. I've also sent it to the Attorney General's office, and also was made aware this is the Office of the Inspector General, like I said, in the Social Security Administration. So. But what he did is that I can tell you this didn't go through the state. This went through this building here.
It went to the state.
What's
Absolutely. It went through the state, absolutely.
You sure?
Yep, we would have taken this in, but then we have to send this to the state so they can make this new birth certificate.
So would you send that in with the acknowledgement of paternity, or would you send that in with the Supreme Court order?
The acknowledgement of paternity. We weren't. If we didn't receive a Supreme Court order.
Right, because what happened is in the Supreme Court orders, the Judge Gilbert states very clearly he was just changing the name, not any parentage.
Okay.
So he probably left that part out when he brought it down to you guys. It's done fraudulently. And I definitely need to speak with someone about it.
Yeah, definitely. Let me do a quick bit of research here.
Appreciate your help.
Yeah. You have your ID on you?
I do.
Thanks.
So you said Mr. Davis doesn't work for your department anymore? Is he still with the county or the city or state or whatever? Or?
As far as I know, he's no longer with the county. I don't know where he is currently.
Okay.
just to make sure I'm understanding it correctly. So are you trying to get your name removed from this record?
No. What I'm trying to do is bring it to someone's attention. The attorney that got to produce that birth certificate did it fraudulently, and then he forged another attorney's name to the acknowledgement of paternity to do so. So, if you would, he gets the document from court to change her name, which he should have brought just that down here, and had a new birth certificate made.
We don't make it.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, that would get submitted to the state. I mean,
Does the state typically put a father on a birth certificate after when she's 7 years old?
yes, that's pretty common.
Acknowledgement of paternity?
Acknowledgement of paternity can be filled out really at any time.
Anytime, because I was told that they're supposed to be done in the hospital when the child is just born. It's not a common practice that they were done at 7.
Oh no, it's common.
Is it?
Yeah.
How about the attorney fraudulently signing another attorney's name to it and not giving the court order document to change her name? See,
Yeah. So, and that's the other thing I'm just trying to clear up. So as far as things that need to change, need to stay the same on this document. Does her name need to change?
well, here's the thing: is we need to get down to the meat and potatoes of why there's 2 documents and why her social security number doesn't match her birth certificate. That's the problem. The problem is that the attorney did this fraudulently. You see, there's her original birth certificate. There was no father there. But as you can see, I showed you there was a paternity test in 2017 that this attorney was also involved in, so he was well aware that there was a biological father. He just wasn't named on the birth certificate, but his last name was.
Gotcha.
Because mom obviously knew.
Yeah.
I'm the only sucker that didn't. And I've been raising her since she's 2 years old.
Gotcha.
She's now 13, and I haven't seen her in a year because of this. But nobody wants to acknowledge the fact that the attorney, Anthony Germano, did this fraudulently. So, I'm sure the Social Security Administration is going to have questions for everybody as well, too. And in the meantime, this man has threatened me. He's threatened to me end up in a ditch, take my house, take my kids, and he's done all of the above because he has friends that are attorneys and judges. So I'm just reporting back to the federal government and the Department of Justice based on the threats that he's made. And I need to bring this to somebody's attention that will actually look into it. Because when Mr. Davis was here, he said he would, and he said he did, and obviously I never heard back from him. He doesn't even work here anymore. So I'm here to follow up and make sure that somebody's going to do something about it, because it's not just an allegation. I have overwhelming evidence of what happened here. I've investigated it myself. And there is a biological father. There's DNA tests that the attorney was aware of. There's got text messages showing that he talked to the biological father, and the biological father told him that, and he still moved forward, charged me for a divorce, signed a name down there. You see that name where it says Joseph Fraschetti? That's actually Anthony Germano and his handwriting.
Did he sign this in front of you?
Yeah.
Okay.
We all signed it in his office. Me, my ex, his paralegal, who's not Karen Smith, and Anthony Germano, not Joseph Fraschetti. And I have other documents with his handwriting on it. You see his handwriting where he printed his name before he signed it, how distinctive it is.
Right.
And then I have a text message from right under there, if you can see. He says right there, I got the document in my right hand, drop it off at Vital Statistics, as long as there's no typos, whatever. And there is some typos. He made some mistakes on there with the hospitals, certain things that he made a mistake on. So there's some mistakes on there as well. And it's a fraudulent document, and someone here should be reporting this to the federal government as well.
I understand you.
Because I believe they're waiting to hear from, because I've told them that I've reported it to the sheriffs, I've reported it to numerous organizations that I've been advised to, and nobody's doing anything. And Mr. Davis told me he brought it up to legal, and I can't remember her name. I do have her name at home.
Yeah, I can't remember her name either, but I can get in touch with her as well.
You know who I'm talking
I know
about?
who you're talking about, yeah.
Why, is there only one legal here, or is there?
There's our main contact with legal, but
Yeah, I wish I could remember her name off the top of my head, but she's obviously a lawyer and obviously maybe a friend of his, and so she didn't bring it any further, but it needs to be brought further.
yeah, because just reviewing this documentation, if you want, just things I'm noticing about this, they would not have needed a legal name change to change your name, because I did it right here. Last name original Mantaro, new last name is Orbino.
What are the grounds for doing that?
It's just something you can do using the acknowledgement of paternity form.
So why did he get a court order from a judge to do it?
Not sure. It's that part of it is odd.
Probably because there was already a biological father on record, so the court order would have granted him access to do that.
Yeah, that's
Because he's not going to just come down here when there's a biological father on record. He needed a court order to do that, or he wouldn't have wasted the time, energy, and money to do it.
yeah.
So he went to Judge Gilbert. He granted a name change for reasons that I'm, the last name. She doesn't know who the biological father is. Gave a whole spiel right in here. The whole petition is there. The judge granted the name change based on that, and he came down and then he filled out that acknowledgement of paternity right there to add me to the birth certificate,
Right.
rather than to do the adoption that he was paid to do.
Yeah.
So he used the judge's order for A, that's B, and C, he did a fraudulent adoption. The whole problem is
It's coming together.
the Social Security Administration.
Yeah, they still, for whatever reason, have her down as like a child.
Because her birth certificate has been reported as fraudulent, and this has all also been given to them. All this information they also have.
Okay.
So, they won't change it to Orbino because it's being looked into on their end as fraud.
Gotcha.
But nobody locally, I'm told to report it locally, and nobody locally wants to do anything about it. So if you want to take some notes and maybe have legal call me back, but
Definitely.
definitely going to, it definitely someone needs to call me back and something needs to be done about this. And like I said, in the meantime, I have this attorney threatening me not to report this to anybody. He's telling me that it won't go anywhere, telling me that he has friends at Vital Statistics and in the legal department here, and that's why it hasn't went there in the first place. So he's also threatened to put me in a ditch. I'm trying to get this out there in the open before that threat comes true. So if you could expedite this to legal, the authorities maybe, federal government, it's a federal crime.
Social Security, that is all federal.
Right.
We don't work directly with them,
Right,
but
right.
they do physically come in and they can review records with us.
Do you have a contact at the Office of the Inspector Generals?
I do not, but I'll be reaching out to our normal contact who comes in here with Social Security. I'll reach out to legal, get their opinion on this.
Well,
Most
they're-
likely they have something already if David was already speaking.
Legal's probably going to tell you to ignore it like they did to Mr. Davis last time. But I'm back again to tell you, please don't ignore it because I'm going public with this now.
No, understood.
Because enough is enough. I've got this man threatening me and his threats are coming true. And not to mention, can you imagine, my daughter just turned 13. Can you imagine when she goes to get her working papers and she's got one last name on her social security card and one last name on her license? Not to mention, this has also been reported to the Federal Department of Education because technically she's registered in school using a fraudulent birth certificate. So it's being looked at multiple different levels. It's not just me coming here asking you to do something.
No, I understand.
I'm coming here letting you know that you should join in and make sure someone does something about this.
No, I understand.
Because it's a federal crime. To produce if I came in here and I gave you documents and you issued me a birth certificate and it was done with fraudulent documents and forged signatures, who would you call?
I understand what you're saying.
No, I'm asking you a question. Who would you call?
I know.
No, most likely the police.
What's that?
Most likely the police.
Okay, so maybe that's what you should do this time.
The issue that we have here, from the sounds of it, I mean, this is not me speaking as a legal expert.
No,
This
yeah,
is
no,
me,
it's fine.
It sounds like he ripped you off. He charged you a lot of money to go through a court proceeding that he just, I guess, realized, oh wait, I can steal his money and then just complete this all on paper and do it for free.
Right. Not thinking that if we ever went through a divorce, that mom had knowledge of his fraud and would use that, and they could use that to threaten and intimidate me and do horrible things to me and my family based upon that. One thing I'm not going to do is be silent about this. If he does want to threaten to put me in a ditch, if I do end up in there, you bet that the whole world is going to know why I'm in that ditch. So if he's an attorney who obviously has attorney friends and nobody wants to do nothing about it, you just said if it was me who did this and gave you, if an attorney came in here and gave you this documentation and said I committed this crime and gave you documents to produce a false birth certificate, you would most certainly call the police on me, or authorities or whoever, and I'm asking that you would do the same and not ignore the fact that, because he's an attorney, or because I'm asking that you would do what you would do as if a normal civilian committed this fraud and crime. I mean, I'm handing you overwhelming evidence, and I would ask that, I did all the work. Nobody has to do anything. I've got it labeled. I've got it marked by exhibit. I went and I did all the legwork, and when I started getting pieces of this, I put it all together, and here it is.
Understood.
And it's a fraudulent birth certificate.
Can I make copies of all this?
Yes, you sure can.
Thank you.
Do you have the cover sheet where it says, oh yeah, right there.
Right there.
And those are the text messages that prove that he knew there was a biological father, and also the DNA test that he was involved in Madison County that shows that he knew who the biological father was. So it's fraud on top of fraud,
Yeah. Because essentially what you're looking, this birth certificate needs to get fixed, for one, or at least it needs, her record with Social Security needs to be fixed, or up to date.
He needs to be held accountable, so we can figure out, because I've talked to numerous adoption attorneys. Some of them said it's called a quickie adoption. It's most certainly done fraudulent, but he has to be held accountable, and then a higher court should determine whether I should be her father or not. The family court has been keeping her from me. You want to know why? Because I'm not her biological father, and she found out and she doesn't want to be with me. Now, if this was a legal adoption, she couldn't say that. But technically, legally, by the state of New York, I'm her father. Now, by the federal government, I'm not.
Right.
So we need to get down to the meat and potatoes of this man's fraud, and then I can, once people start to acknowledge it, what I can do then is take this to a higher court, because I'm going to be going to a lot of them anyways, and I can take this and I can find out, and I can get a ruling if she's my daughter or not, or what name she should have on her birth certificate, because regardless, when she goes to get her license or working papers or something, she's going to have a problem. Her first job, when they say, why do you have two last names, one on here, one on here? That needs to be fixed for many reasons.
Definitely.
Yep.
Well, let me make some copies. I'll be right back with you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Before I forget, what is your best phone contact?
315-396-3344. I'm not the first person this has happened to. There's, just so you know, there's a lot of people that I put things on Facebook, and a lot of people have came forward with similar problems with this attorney. His wife is a law guardian, or I'm sorry, works for CPS. She's a CPS, and his friend, good friends with law guardians. And I've had some people come forward and say that this man has taken his children away using his wife, and because he's a law guardian at AFC as well, and they have adopted, put their children up for adoption because they were unfit. So you see what they're doing here?
Yeah, I understand you.
They're selling people's children in a sense. He took this man's child biologically. Granted, he wasn't a good father; he was never in the picture. But he took this man's parentage away from him, gave it to me, and now he's taking it from me. But because he's an attorney and knows some people, I know some people too, and I'm not going to tolerate that. So I really appreciate if you would do something with this, and I thank you so much for your time and your listening. I appreciate you. I do. It means more than you know.
Oh, of course. Let me take a quick copy of your ID.
Yeah. Oh, my ID.
Yeah. I took a look at it, but I can get back to you too. So, one more moment.